Except where them haters, where them hoes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying? Cecil.
Okay, if you've never heard of Dr. Norbert Ralph, PhD, he is a licensed clinical psychologist in San Leandro, California. You may be wondering, what does this have to do with martial arts? Well, I teach at the rec centers, and a lot of people want to bring their children to the rec centers, and I believe they want to protect their good children from the bad children. And a lot of people wonder, well, what's a good age to start my child in martial arts so that they'll be able to protect themselves? And I said in one of my previous videos, I have science that's going to back up when you need to start putting your kids in a martial arts class. And I think you need to put your kids in starting 4 years earlier than when children tend to start dipping into crime. That's my unscientific opinion. I don't have a PhD in anything, but that's just my opinion. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show some of the science that he's written. I'll put a link to his website below too. He gave a presentation called Being a Pro. I happen to have a printout here from his presentation. Okay, Being a Pro. This was a webinar. I'm on this mailing list for forensic research. Don't ask me how I got on there. I don't even remember. I think I read an article and signed up. And once in a blue moon, something happens that I can use. Okay? Let me see if I can scroll down and get you to where I want us to be for the purposes of this discussion. Now let's look at this chart. This is the age/crime curve. If you look at it, basically, the younger people are, the more crime they tend to commit. Now, if you can, I don't know if you can see it, the bigger curve is nonviolent crime. The lower curve is violent crime. This is crimes per 100 population. Okay? So 100, 200, 300. As you can see, he starts at age 12. Crime goes up to age 12, and there's a direct, looks like there's a positive relationship between violent and nonviolent crime. It goes up, age 12, looks like it peaks around 18, 19, 20, and then starts to taper off until people get to be around my age where we just too old and tired to do crime anymore, apparently. But look at that spike once puberty hits and they get in their prime. Now look at this. Early adolescence is a high risk and to some extent a transitory developmental period for committing illegal sexual behaviors. Okay? But this is the part I wanted to get to. Right here. Read the part that's in bold. In all cultures and times, the mortality rate among boys spikes a few years after they become adolescents. It is called the, quote, accident hump, quote, the accident hump, quote. And it occurs because the rise in testosterone that takes place at puberty makes males more aggressive and reckless. That means they're more likely to do things that get them killed, like picking fights. I've read that twice, or doing risky things on a dare. Okay? Now, Shakespeare wrote this nearly 500 years ago, before there was an African American, quote unquote, ghetto ethnic group. And I'm bringing that up not to play the race card, but to speak to my fellow African Americans who get the guilt. I guess you could call it black guilt. They have a white guilt. I guess this is black guilt, where we go, every time a black person does something, some of us goes, oh my goodness, he's just making us all look bad. This is what's going on. And then the single mothers and all that stuff. And you just can't convince people that human beings are just violent. Yes, some social conditions are going to enable it. And he says that in this paper too. So environments can make things worse. But it's only accentuating something that's already there. Shakespeare wrote in The Winter's Tale, quote, "I would there were no age between 10 and 23, or that youth would sleep out the rest. For there is nothing in between but getting wenches with child, wronging the ancientry, stealing, fighting." That means, in modern terms, they just thinking about getting with girls, being disrespectful to their elders, stealing, and fighting. Now, what do a lot of people bring their children to martial arts instructors for? Confidence, self-esteem, to build character, to help them get in shape, to help them get better grades in school, and to fight, to learn how to fight, right? Because everybody's eyes lights up when it's sparring time, but everybody is mad and feels like they're being tortured when you want them to practice their skills so that they can spar better. So as you can see, this violence, Shakespeare puts it between, will you believe Shakespeare? Between the ages of 10 and 23. Okay? Dr. Ralph puts it that I think he says about 10 to 25. Around 12 to 25. Basically, you're talking about tween to young adult male. Okay, right here. Age 12 to 25 is a period of major brain development, some of which continues until age 35. If you want to know when to sign your kids up for martial arts class, you need to sign them up as soon as possible. You need to, I would say, no later than age 6, so that by the time they get to be 10 years old, they have at least 4 years of practice with this skill, and it may start to become second nature by then, so they can handle the people who are falling prey to their hormones. Now, does that mean that if you sign your child up later than that, it's too late? No, it is not. It is absolutely not too late. But if you want to know when your children truly need the martial arts, start them at 6. Start them at 6. So by the time they get to be 10, even if they're not a black belt, they've got some confidence and some competence so that they can fight off the people who are being hormonally amped up to do something stupid, like pick on them or pick a fight with them. Okay? Now, I have a class that has toddlers in it. I tell people, for toddlers, keep your expectations low. Use the martial arts for toddlers to help them learn coordination. Help them learn how to get familiar with their bodies. The more coordinated and familiar they are with their bodies, the better they're going to be able to protect themselves from little tiny toddler bully babies. Risk-taking is often the norm in some peer groups, which can be a powerful influence on teens who are often strongly motivated to conform to peer values. I know I've alluded to the fact in some videos where I feel like the martial arts helped me because it was a peer group where they would say, "Don't you fight for no reason. No, we don't approve of that, Cecil. No, that's wrong." And he had the instructors going, "No, that's not acceptable. We don't approve of that. Don't do that." And that also helped me outside of class gravitate towards kids who didn't believe in violence either. So that influence helped pull me into a true middle way balance where, I see the dark side, I accept the darkness within me, I know it's there, but I definitely check it with the kindness, the compassion, and the light and the way of Christ. So to wrap it up, when should you put your child in the martial arts class? As soon as possible. Definitely, when do they quote unquote really need it? At around 10 years old, when people start acting up and start rebelling and their hormones are taking them over and they're going to start trying to do silly things. Now, one thing I want to make very clear, although Dr. Ralph, I'm going to put a link to his website in the description. And from what I've read, I know it sounds like he's just talking about boys, but these days, the same type of behavior is observed with girls as well. You need to sign your girls up too. I had both of my kids involved in martial arts, okay? And something else I've noticed about martial artists too, not all the time, but a lot of the time, even if they do fall in with a bad crowd, you've put them in martial arts and they've fallen in with a bad crowd. If you keep letting them go to class and the class is a positive influence, eventually that positive feed into their life is going to pull them out of the darkness. So like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to learn more about what I do with martial arts offline, visit my website, donate, buy products, etc. But most importantly, thank you for your time.